Wow, it's getting pretty near my bottom end of where I go fishing. 3 degrees above freezing. I'm going to have a couple of hours pike fishing. I was going to have a half a day, and it's just got bizarre with phone calls, business stuff and whatever. So I'm down to about 2 hours. I'm going to be using this one, a big plug. I've got 30-pound line on that reel. I might have some braid underneath. The rod's the old Kanji one. And just so you know what this lure is, called a Strike Pro, all of which means nothing to me. I'm going to throw it around. I'm here at Sandhurst Lake, which is a big carp water with some big carp in there. Over 40s I think they've got. It's not really pike fished a lot, to be honest, as far as I can understand it. But the bailiff last time did say, Graham, you should be trying lures. I was on dead bait and I picked one fish up. So I'm down to one fish, but with a lure, of course, I can work it much faster, cover the area a lot better. Being cold, there's no carp anchors. I think there's about two cars in the car park, so I guess 2 carp anchors. So I can do 6 or 8 cars, each swim, move around this bay, over there, and up in the corner. That's all I'm going to do, so I'm hoping just to get one fish out of it. Guys, just so you know, I think they call this one a slider. So I'm going to be using it in quite big jerks. Big jerk. 2 big jerks. One out there and one here. So it does this sort of action, you know, it covers a lot of area, but it seems to, I'm not saying this one, I normally would use a buster jerk. And you've got a stick-on lead bit under there that you can put on different weights. But I'm going to give it a go with this one. And hopefully I'll cover a lot of ground and just get a sort of, I'm looking for an aggressive pike that might just slash at it and grab at it. That's all it's down to in conditions like today. And I'm going to be wearing gloves, sorry. It's too cold. Sometimes you get damp in England and it's actually colder than frost, if that makes sense, when we get this rain and drizzle and damp. It's cleared away now, but it can be bone-eating temperatures. That's better. Many more days like this and I won't be fishing. God, come on. It could come off because they're big hooks, but hopefully you got the hook up. And he's off. That's amazing, isn't it? 3rd cast, I think that was, people. And that was about a 3-pounder. Well, thanks to Nick the bailiff for the tip about using lures. Long may it continue. Wow. There's fish moving down here. I'm going to put one. I'm going to put a cast in close there. So you've got a giant lure, and that just goes to show you, fish will hit it. I'll feel another one coming around here, guys. What you've got to get is the pause between just to pause it a little bit, a second, half a millisecond, just to try and let that pike hit the lure as it stops from side to side. That was a bonus, wasn't it? It's not very, I don't think it's overall it's very deep here. They do get weed, so really this is the time to be fishing it, is during the winter. Just actually leaving about 2 seconds for that to sink. It's going to be deeper out there than it is closer in. And a little bit of weed now and then. They do get weed here, I think, in the summer. It's bound to pick some weed up. There is one guy fishing way over there. He's spotting. He's putting his bait out there. I thought it was another guy lure fishing, but he's actually casting some bait out. Just shows you there is weed here. Just getting the balance right. You want to be sort of over that weed, the top of it really. One, two, start it back. Well, that was just a flash in the pan, that one, I guess. I'm going to go into the corner swim on the right here. Just down there. As you realise, let's pull that back a bit. You always run the risk around any lake of wanting to fish near the overhangs of the trees, because that's definitely where the pike are going to be. But there could be in the winter branches under the water that are broken off and you don't know about. It's fine if you do know the fishery. Just letting it sink a little bit too much now, as you can see. I think I probably want to cast to the right because the rushes are that way. I'm better off going to the swim down to the right. So I've done about 10 casts here. I'm going to move on. I find personally with a lure, it's not worth always flogging away at the same place. Once they've seen the lure, they've seen it, and they might not take it unless you change lures. Right, let's just hitch this up and move to the next swim. I find actually that you can get a gauge of whether there's weed there by the number of coots that are diving. The coots are the white-beaked ones, the red-beaked ones are the moorhens. The coots do dive quite shallow, they generally sort of dig around in weedy areas. I'm figuring over there is weedy, and of course where there's weed there's pike. Because I've moved around and well, I think it's a sort of nice fishy bay. There's a gentleman just fishing here. As you see, he's carping. So I just asked him, just out of politeness, you know, where's he fishing? Because I don't want to be throwing a great big chunky lure out messing his fishing up. But he said he's about 20 wraps out, and he says there's pike busting all over the margins there. He wants me to go and cast for them, but I feel bad. Anyhow, I said I'll have a few throws here. I put one throw up here, and I've had a big swirl after it already. I missed a fish. So I'm going to see if I can't pick one up here before I try down there. It's looking hopeful.
That didn't take long, did it?
The man's not wrong. Well, there we go, guys. Right here. We've got that lure now. That's a nice looking pike. And thanks to this gentleman to tell me to cast in the margins. Great fish. Go on. Well, there we go. Now my hands are really freaking cold. And I ain't bought my rag. First cast, it was a big swirl. Might have been the same fish, I suppose. Hard to believe, people, but I've lost another one. Looked like it could have been a double figure fish. And then that other gentleman came up that was carp, and he told me, fish down the edge ground, but it's very close to him. I didn't really want to disturb his fishing. But he's adamant, and there's a big swirl down right in by the bushes, so I've put small lure on. It's just like a shad tail one, so I can fish out a lot slower, and I'm going to run it down this inside here and see if he's right about these pike along the inside there. Give it a go. Guys, I just got a take, could be quite a nice fish. Yeah, this is a good one. He's eaten the whole lure. I think I'll take a chance and net this one, guys. He's in. This one's a nice fish. Let's pull that camera up a bit for you. Gonna get covered in mud anyway. Absolutely shovel the lure down the back of his mouth. There we go. Not a bad one, I think you'll agree. I think I nicked my finger there as well. Big enough mouth to eat whatever he wants. That's a nice fish. One of the better ones. I think that might be the biggest fish I've caught out of Sandhurst, to be honest. Absolute beauty. It's like a miniature crocodile. Let's get him back. What a cracker. That's 2 double figure fish and a 3-pounder which I lost in the first cast, and I've lost about 4 others. Even more bizarre, I cast my plug out, that big one, I've got the name for it now. The link's come undone. The plug's gone flying out. As it's hit the water, I feel sure, boom, it made a bigger splash than the plug would have done when it hit the water. I think it got taken when it's just floating. It's weird, this place is full of crocodiles. We're going to try. My hands are frozen after that fish. Once you get cold water, I have to wash them off of the fish line. I get absolutely freezing. And it's going to freeze tonight, I feel. My thumb's lost sensation. I come around the corner to the stalking swim where I did a previous film. I had one out on a bait. But obviously, it's much better by the look of things with lures. I'm going to give it a go anyway. That last one took this lure, which as you can see, sort of slide lure, but it's got that strip, the weighted lead strip glued on the bottom there. I've caught a lot of fish on this one, and that last fish absolutely, well, I couldn't see the lure, it's gone straight down. So let's give it a throw and see if we can't pick fish up. I've never done much good late in the afternoon, well, in the early evening I should say. I've done okay in late afternoon, I just have, but I'm going to throw either side of these bushes. The bailiffs, I think, were over here clearing some rigs out of trees and stuff, and the carpet guys that are left there. So it might be disturbed, might be no fish. I've got one other swim up there I'm going to try. Well, I've come around the corner on the edge of the island. Nothing in that little short range swim. Time is now 3:45. I've got about 15 minutes left. I don't see any point in changing that lure. Just stick with that and finish the last 5 minutes working this bay. Well, it's strange, but I normally pick the odd fish out of that margin swim, but it was just not meant to be. However, a good little session, if somewhat cold. Now, I've recently, in the last year, really enjoyed putting together some of the country stuff, covering it, filming it. I've really enjoyed it. And here's a little clip showing you some of the old equipment being used. And you might also be wondering, what's all these huge giant gargantuan blocks of wood there? It's from Mike's 100-year-old ash tree that he's having to take down to Somerset, these to be made into his superb axes. And wait for this, the first ones he sold out in 3 hours. That's TA Outdoors. There's a film up there if you want to see how axes are made. And honestly, really interesting on the tannery. It's the last one apparently in the UK. I never knew that. I found it interesting. Anyway, you think that was interesting? This is interesting. It's old stuff. I love old stuff. The amount of equipment in there is just phenomenal. I'm guessing I'm calling this is a boneyard where they obviously keep stuff that they want to use at some stage. Now, my uncle, on the other hand, started with a car spares shop in Fleet, down by Fleet Station. And that's just after the Second World War. He was in car spares. Obviously, because there's plenty of spares needed after the Second World War. And then from there, I took over the shop for 38 years selling furniture. So, been 2 generations in that shop. And then he went right into tyres after that. That reminds me of the workshop area we had. So much stuff, it's just unbelievable. I just pan past in case people actually recognise some of it. They're the same era I am and recognise stuff. I mean, for instance, this sounds stupid. There's covers on the edge of the front of that vise, the jaws. It's to stop you marking indentations on the metal you're working on. We had that, we had to make those for, I think, CSE metalwork, which I then failed later. The only one out of 30 because I brazed the bolt to the bench or something bizarre or dangerous. It smells of oil in here. You can smell it. There's some real old school bikes, look. Leather seats, little pouch at the back. Look at the framework. just light spring work here to hold the mud guard on. In baskets. 1896. Now this is a Singer. I wonder if that's a Singer sewing machine, people. Humber, is that the Humber people that did a Humber car? Different picture bell. I think these were called carbide lamps. Somebody told me, I'm sure they were called a carbide lamp. Again, used to sell them years ago. Still works. A water bottle there. All the kit, picnics, little basket at the back. This one by Salter. And a huge variety of like penny farthing ones. I mean, who invented it that they had to sit that high on a bike? This is a racer, 1888. Price, £18, 10 shillings. God, it's getting silly. It's getting silly. It's going on and on. They've got all their work buildings all up across there, look. I've no conception what that is. I suppose we can walk where it says. Oh, I'm glad I saw that one. I knew definitely that it was a 1900 winnowing machine used to separate grain from the chaff when threshing, after threshing. By turning a handle, the fan inside created a draft which blew the light chaff away. The heavier grain fell through the lower chute. So basically these paddles are like a giant fan. And then the grain would have come out there, I'm guessing. A Maycock bandsaw. Well, I never thought I'd see one of those. Machine could be operated with a handle or from a belt off a line shaft. I could see it was like what we call a jigsaw, but it's a bandsaw. I pumped many a litre, a gallon or pint as it were, with these years ago. Oil pumps when we had the lorries and they want oil, we buy oil in bulk and then you pump it out from there. I remember that well. There's an old Dennis. We used to have those for in the 50s. This one's the old fire engine. You see the workshop there. Oh, I can see a camshaft over there on the bench. I'm stupid, but not completely stupid. When did this all start? They've got so much stuff here.
Okay, I can't remember the exact history without looking at it here. I ought to know this. Basically, the museum itself started with a chap called Henry Jackson, who used to own the cottages at the front here and this ground. And he was a horticulturist and tree-related items. And he then, and forestry. He then started collecting vintage machinery in the early in the 60s.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
He opened this up first time ago 50 years ago now.
Oh, really?
1973, just at the bits up the front where the blacksmith is. So they were actually the buildings in his garden, in his yard. Then over the years, it gradually expanded up into this area.
Oh, really?
When Henry and Madge eventually passed away, or before they passed away, they set up a trust.
Yes.
Which then took over the day-to-day running of the collection and inherited and all this sort of thing to it.
So do people still donate stuff to you? Because you've got work on progress.
People do donate things to it still. There is obviously a challenge with only accepting certain things now, because obviously as it is a museum, we need to be careful that what we do accept, you've got a place to put it, and you can display it correctly and you can look after it, rather than just leaving it outside. So what you might notice here is a lot of the stuff now is undercover.
Yep.
What's also happened in the last few years, again, in the 80s and 90s, there was quite a lot of stuff was running and the first was restored. But what's also happened in the last couple of years, what it's started doing mainly since the COVID period, there's been a slight change of policy, where now that the things that are not historically unique like stationary engines and things where there are many of them.
Yes.
And it's not all engine, most tractors and things like this. Rather than preserving it, you're to make it workable. So you're preserving it by running it.
Yeah.
So make it operational. So what we're gradually now doing, working through the whole place, is taking a lot of the machinery type items that can be made to run, getting them so they can run and run safely.
And is that purely just for museum things? Is it some law or something, or what?
No, purely for our own use, so we can demonstrate it.
So you don't want a heap of scrap?
Yeah, so basically the idea is so you can demonstrate things.
Yes,
so
we show it working.
Yeah, so we do an awful lot of things here now with school visits. Yeah. Where you'll demonstrate certain activities, certain trades, certain machinery running for that. So there's a quite common thing for that. And also some of it in film work as well. But
I'm gobsmacked. It's an absolutely huge amount of stuff here. It's being collected.
Yeah, there is. I'd actually just say there's slightly physically less artefacts here than has been in the past, because you've gradually been sorting through what needs to be kept, what can be then disposed of to other museums.
Exactly, collectors,
Because what you don't want is a lot of stuff sitting out and rusting.
Exactly, it's wasted for anybody.
So the policy has been to try and make it actually operational.
And those buildings that they've, all the different types of buildings, they're ones that people have donated again?
Yeah, the ones that generally come from...
Or we're going to be pulled down or something?
Yeah, pulled down or various things. So some of the buildings here are relocations. Other ones are just been made up as of buildings to put things in, basically. That look the part.
Yeah, no, they're nice, they're interesting. I find them interesting,
So so there's a number of the buildings are there. So the school hut, the chapel, the prefab, all those type of items are ones that are being relocated here.
And then in here, this compound, is this where stuff's sort of repaired over there?
This area here is the wood yard. So this is an area that actually is, there's a number of preservation groups, with little subgroups, working groups within it. Yes. One of which is the wood yard. So the wood yard is some of the items in there are owned by individuals.
I see.
And some are owned by the museum. And the idea is to recreate a working wood yard. So the wood yard actually is used quite extensively. So a lot of the newer buildings you've seen, so for instance, all the structures you're seeing in that wood yard there, the steam engine shed, the fences, the railway, all the fencing around there, we actually then use the machinery here
to make your own fencing.
Actually make the own fencing, make the own upright. So for instance, the other year we had a storm here, we lost a number of trees. Sure. So you collect the bigger trees, you then mill them here. You let them season for a few years, and then you mill them here to make parts for you.
I'll just ask you this anyway. Do you mill when they're young or old then? What's the best way for milling? I thought it'd be softer when they're young.
No, it depends what you're trying to do. Some of it will be fairly new, so you just want shiplap for building or something. But if you want upright, you would tend to let it mature for a few years.
And then cut it.
And then cut it, because you want to try and reduce the moisture content in it.
Yeah.
It really depends what you do. They're not remotely professional millers or
they come out sort of square on the right length, near enough.
Yeah, so we've got the older type ones at the front here, so the two benches at the front here. The one on the far end is Henry's original one that he was using commercially, and then right at the back is actually a slightly more modern bandsaw based one, which we use some of the time.
I appreciate that.
Some of the stuff. But yeah, so a lot of the woodwork you see here is trees that we picked up with the tractors and the trailers.
You've used equipment
from the local area. Yeah. Brought them back here, milled them, and turned them into buildings.
Yeah.
So very specifically, the wood for the steam engine shed has come from the immediate area. Some of it actually even immediately that area around it, like this in this museum, stuff that's storm damaged. Yeah. A lot of these ones here is trees that were in the immediate woods around. Cleared in the woods.
Wherever you get the wood,
So we actually it is used.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, certainly.
And gradually, again, we've gone through periods of lots of stuff operational to not so much, and now it's coming back to getting more volunteers and younger volunteers involved, and they're gradually working through it now.
Yeah. Well, if you don't pass that engineering knowledge off to younger people, they're not going to know what a nut and a bolt is.
No, exactly.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate your help. Thank you. Well, I'm in the carpenter's shed, but there's another one coming past. It's like number 49 bus, set noise here. So this is in the wood carpenter shop, and you can see I'm hoping you'll see them, huge numbers of different implements. Chisels are about the only thing I recognise. Planes, perhaps spoke shaves if they're in there. There's one. I mean, somebody's had a huge amount of work to do in there. Look, guys, once this stuff's gone, it's gone. No one would know what they do. I wouldn't. Look, lead working tools for the plumber. Does it make holes? That number 13? I don't know. Old-fashioned, I guess, paraffin oil blow torches. I'm old enough to remember those. It's just been really well done. Look, even the old buildings. My God, they got so much stuff here. It's beyond belief. The one I find is popular and always good, I know them, Listers, the old Lister engines. And there's a boat I go out of Beer in Devon. I think they've got an old Yanmar diesel. I think it is, and a Lister down there. And they're the old, we call them bob boats. You just go bob, 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 bob. They use virtually no fuel and they go forever. And easy maintenance. So many tools in there. Well, if anybody's interested in tools, this is a place to come and have a look. My goodness me, they might recognise them all. That's a sort of spoke shave one down there. Cabinet maker, upholsterer, oh dear, and undertaker. This one's called the Bourne Building. Very dark in here, might not get any footage at all. Oh no, light comes on, tell a lie. Oh, the lights come on with a sensor, that's pretty handy. I have no idea what a lot of these things do. They're just some forms of traps now. I'm going to say these are old traps. Let's have a look around. Oh yeah, I need this badly. A wooden full barrel mole trap. You know, something that rips his head off from his tail. Mole trap, that's what I've got. Duffy's mole trap, 2 moles in about 10 years. Now that's a kiddie, look. Eel spearheads, that could work on the moles. Rabbiting with ferrets, I've done that with Mike, I think it's on one of his channels, or his main channel, Yeah Outdoors. That looks like a bear clamp, there's got a guy's leg in it actually, and you can see that. This thing is for dropping on moles. That number 3 is a mole spring trap. Number 13 is a definite mole killing trap. Now actually those are gin traps. I remember collecting those years ago. I'm not sure you don't have to have a license to own those. No, you can't use them anymore. Nasty pieces of equipment, but they are called traps. Number 12 with all those prongs on is a mole spike. I've got nothing against moles really. Number 10 is a mole flattener. Old historic one. And you might be able to see it up against the back over there. Is the shot powder flask, shot and powder dispensers for the percussion, flintlocks and all that sort of rifles. That's right, for shooting the moles. Here's one. Have they got hornets? Oh look, a beekeeper's outfit. The stuff is just, guys, I'm over halfway round. Tells you all about the different species of bees. Just ridiculous amount of stuff here. I can't see hornets, so I'm looking for the Asian hornet. It's got the bumblebees, all old clay pipes, miniatures, keys. Someone, how do they collect all this stuff? Boats. This is somebody's probably private collection, I'm guessing he's donated. We got one of these, me and Mike, double-handed saw. Very, very difficult to use. This one's for the cart horse, goes over the front. It's what we used to call it, oh it's called a horse collar, yeah. Carding comb, or that's what we used to call a curry comb. Look at those weird things up there. Who knows what they are, guys? Let us know in the comments page. Anything you see randomly, those axes, if you want to name them, put them in the comments page. Some form of water pump here. This is Dennis water pump. As I say, Dennis were one of the main engine lorry makers. Now you can see that's not going to carry weight because the leaf springs are more flat on that, and I've always found that on the older lorries we used to have, the curve was more accentuated if it was indeed made to take weight, as we had tipper lorries and stuff like that. Various corn grinders, feeders, chaff cutters, a root chopper, a mole chopper. You feed the moles in there, because my problem is finding the moles in the first place, other than the huge heaps of mounds and ripping lawn they've left up. A cement mixer for mixing up the dynamite to get rid of the moles. I'm just panning around like this, guys, because some of you will do a freeze frame and look at stuff and go, oh, I remember that. So the smaller ones, what they call stationary engines. I can't believe I've spent so much time around here. Well, I do enjoy filming all that old stuff. I'm not going to say I don't, I do. I'm of the age that I do remember, unfortunately, a lot of that equipment, and did indeed use it when I was a young chappie of about 14, working for my grandfather. Yes, I started work at 14. Anyway, I have to close now, saying thanks for watching, etc. And of course this is, yes, a chip off the old block. Check out Mike's axe handles. They are all made in England. Something a bit different is something you perhaps might not find somewhere else. Guys, something else you won't find somewhere else is me on the Totally Awesome Fishing Show. Keep watching. There's going to be another film coming along shortly. See you next time.